Hello, this is Adriana from Tasty Pastry Kitchen, and today we're going to make a coconut mochi cake. This cake is also known as a butter mochi cake and has a very unique texture due to the lack of wheat flour. Instead, it uses rice flour, which gets really gooey when it's baked. If you enjoy boba or Korean rice cakes like I do, then this dessert is perfect for you. Alright, so let's get started. To make this coconut mochi cake, you're going to need rice flour, and I like the Coda Farms Mochi Co. rice flour. You're also going to need some granulated sugar, some baking powder, some salt. You're also going to need some coconut milk, some eggs, 2 whole and 1 egg yolk, some melted butter, vanilla extract, and then for topping, I like to sprinkle on some toasted coconut flakes. Alright, let's make the batter. To a very large mixing bowl, add your rice flour, then your granulated sugar, and then your baking powder and salt. Take a whisk and mix it for at least 30 seconds because that's how long it takes about to mix your baking powder into the flour. This is called the muffin method, which means we're going to mix the dry ingredients in one bowl, the wet ingredients in another bowl, and simply put them together. So now let's mix the wet ingredients. To a small mixing bowl or a pretty large measuring cup, add 2 eggs and 1 egg yolk. You can save the whites for another baking project. I then like to use either a small whisk or a fork to break the yolks and mix the eggs. Then add your 1 can of coconut milk, making sure you scrape the insides to get all of the fat. I use the Chowco brand because that's the coconut milk that I grew up on, and it has just the right amount of fat for a really, really moist cake. Then give that a good whisk before adding in your melted butter and your vanilla extract. Now we're going to add the wet and dry together. So this is why I like to use a big measuring cup for my liquid, because as we pour it into the dry ingredients, you can whisk at the same time and not have to worry about spilling all of the liquid ingredients everywhere. Slowly add that to your flour mixture and whisk until it's completely combined. Once your batter is thoroughly mixed, get your pan ready. I'm using an 8x8 cake pan here, which seems to be the perfect size for this amount of batter. You're going to want to spray it with either cooking spray or rub some butter on the insides to make sure that the cake doesn't stick to the pan. Then go ahead and just dump it all into the cake pan. Give it a little jiggle to settle the surface and some gentle taps to release any large air bubbles. And to finish off, we'll add some freshly toasted grated coconut. I like to use the one from the Asian grocery. You can usually find it in the freezer aisle, and it comes either grated or shredded, and it doesn't have any added sugar. You can use the one that you can find shredded from the American grocery stores. Just be aware that it is really sweet, so maybe not add as much if you don't like really sweetened coconut. Bake this in the middle of an oven that's been preheated to 350 degrees for about 50 to 60 minutes. When it comes out, it'll look nicely toasted around the top, especially along the sides, and it'll be slightly firm to the touch. You can also test its doneness by inserting a wooden skewer in the middle and making sure that no wet dough comes out. You should get a few crumbs attached, and that's just fine. This cake is really good when it's eaten slightly warm, so I like to take it out when it's not hot but still kind of warm to the touch. And to do that, I just run a butter knife along the sides to make sure that nothing is sticking. And then I take a large cookie sheet and place it over the top, turn the cake pan over, admire its golden underside, and then place your serving tray on top of that and flip it over. This cake is baked in an 8-inch square pan, so it will yield 16 2-inch squares. And all you have to do for that is cut the cake in half and then cut the halves in half, and that should give you pretty precise squares. So here it is, coconut mochi cake. This is what a slice of cake looks like, and it has a few things going for it. I think the first has to definitely be the texture. You have the contrast of the really crispy outside and then a really chewy interior that's almost impossible to find in any kind of American style cake. The other thing is the flavor. The coconut and the butter really work together to create a really deep coconut flavor. It's very reminiscent of the Thai desserts that I grew up on as a child. Just wonderful coconut flavor. You can get the full recipe, including ingredient amounts and instructions, on my blog, Tasty Pastry Kitchen. Thanks for watching and have a great day.